Hey guys, what's going on? B McG here, and today we're here to talk about my 7-star rank 2 Black Cat. I got her from my first ever loyalty 7-star crystal, and I was pretty stoked about it because she is, in my opinion, the most valuable champion in that crystal. All the other champions in there are solid, but I haven't seen them make waves in metas the way that Black Cat does. So I was very lucky to get her early on, and in my opinion, the 7-star skill class is pretty weak, and she provides a lot of value to the class in my opinion, and her being locked behind an exclusive pool kind of sucks. But that it is what it is. That's not the point of this video. The point of the video is to talk about Black Cat, the queen of defensive ability accuracy reduction, because she is amazing for using the opponent's abilities against them, because when they fail to trigger, if you have the Sabotage debuff up, you will be dealing a lot of burst damage. And with the Black Widow relic, if you use the striker, that places a beeper debuff on the opponent, which means you have something to fail, and it just makes every match an ideal match for Black Cat, and it's all around a good time. I don't think she's like an amazing champ in matches where you can't fail certain things. She's usable for sure, especially in story content where they juice up your attack rating or crit damage rating. But generally speaking, you want to use her against champions you could fail things against. So that's why we're diving into Labyrinth Red Hulk. Labyrinth Red Hulk has an evade that attempts to trigger, or has a chance to trigger, and she can fail that pretty often. Every time we gain those precisions and cruelties, you guys are seeing that we are failing things, and the ability failed text pops up on the right side of the screen. So that's just going to juice up our damage, because Black Cat can deal critical bleeds off of her special 2, and every time we fail an ability, it helps us ramp up those cruelties. I believe so far we failed the evade 15 times, because that's how many times we have that precision from the Black Widow relic. And this showcase here is going to have the the bleed team. Essentially, it's Black Panther and then 3 Black Panther Civil Wars. And Black Panther and Black Cat have a synergy together. I can't remember exactly what the synergy is, but this is a realistic questing team in my opinion for Act 7 and Act 8, because the way quests are structured, you want to use like skill champions for a skill lane. And if you use Black Cat and Black Panther, they both cover similar ground. So if you're already bringing one to do something, it's very likely that the other one will be useful as well. And then once you get to the boss, you can swap out one of the Black Panther Civil Wars for a boss option. So it's a realistic team in my opinion. But next up, we're getting into some Battlegrounds. We have Hulkling here. This is arms race, so the damage is going to be slightly inflated, but we'll have a clip after this to show you just how strong she is, generally speaking, for Hulkling, because some people may, be unfamiliar with Black Cat, and that's fine. And you may think that this only happened the way it did because of the arms race meta, and while that is a safe assumption because some champs are doing some crazy things that you'd never see them doing, she does this regularly against any champion who has abilities you can fail. So if I was fighting against Thing, it would look exactly like that. But we are in Alliance War now, and I couldn't find any tactic fights that I can show Black Cat against, but she is a tactic attacker, and she's honestly going to be one of the better tactic attackers. Falcon is also in that pool. We'll talk about Falcon a bit later, but I do think Black Cat is going to be one of the better skill options once a bunch of bans start hitting the the Alliance War champion pool, or whatever you want to call it. Essentially, when the opponent will ban champions, there's a very good chance that some of the top options like Mole Man will already be banned, leaving room for Black Cat to shine. And I think she's going to be one of the better champions because she has the ability to scale up her combo meter pretty quickly, and that passive icon underneath our health bar with the scythe on it, that is going to allow us to ignore auto block and evade, and then her built-in defensive ability accuracy reduction is going to counter the champion's abilities that are in their kit. So all around, she's going to be one of the better options for defensive ability accuracy reduction, as well as just countering the node itself. So yeah, next up we're getting into story content, And I do want to say, because I mentioned Falcon, she runs into similar issues that he does, where she can fail the benefits that you try to get from certain node sets. So I try not to get into those matches, just because, you know, I don't want to show her off being, you know, not good. Obviously, I want to show where she shines, and she shines in these quests where, you know, skill champs have their damage amplified. So skill champions in this quest, or for this node, they gain a I think it's 125% fury passive, and then there's also these cruelties and then precisions that we're getting. It's allowing us to just deal some really massive damage, and that's where she shines. Falcon is slow. He obviously has some of the best defensive ability accuracy reduction in the game, but where he falls when he turns off the opponent's abilities and turns off the nodes that might give you benefits, Black Cat is still going to ramp up and deal more damage. And even though she might be turning off like benefits from the node, she can still get benefits from her own kit for failing those abilities. So it just makes her this generic quester. It's like, any abilities that you can turn off, okay, cool, yeah, let's use her and we're gonna have some really solid damage. Like right here, you guys are gonna see some really nasty stuff. We get the vicious passive on us, and every single hit of the special 2 crit. If they didn't go debuff immune after we knocked them down, he would have just melted from the bleed debuffs, but it's not a big deal. Right there, I forgot the parry wasn't going to trigger the stun because of the debuff immunity, but he's done. It's questing content. If you get hit a couple times, it's not a big deal. Next up, we've got Human Torch on the same node set, and it's going to be very similar to the Sentry fight, where we just deal an insane amount of damage to close out the fight. But yeah, she has similar issues to Falcon. It's just she's designed in a way to where those issues don't really stop you from using her. Falcon is going to have like 5-minute fights in late Act 8 if you use him, just because he'll fail the benefits of the node, and he has no way of ramping up, because she gains extra stuff to her kit when she fails abilities, whereas Falcon only gets cruelty when he fails evade. Even though he can turn off all kinds of other abilities, he doesn't get benefits for doing so, whereas Black Cat does, which makes her infinitely more useful in my opinion, because Falcon, he's just boring as hell to play. But next up, we've got this one lane here. There's parry vulnerability, hold the line, armored assault, boost buff armor up, and from my cold dead hands. So essentially, if you don't hit the opponent, they'll gain an armor up and then they'll go unblockable, and then that armor up can be removed by striking the opponent. I think it's with a critical hit, because the critical hit will turn the armor into 0 damage being done from your basic hit, but it'll also consume the armor. So essentially with Black Cat here, you just want to parry a lot to keep that fury buff up, and then we're just going to try to, you know, make sure that we hit him enough so he doesn't gain that armor up buff, because I don't want him going unblockable, because we won't be able to get that fury buff from parrying. Right here, we do try to drop a special 2. Miles miss, I believe, can't be prevented via, ability accuracy reduction. I might be wrong. Correct me if I am wrong, but I'm pretty sure it can't. It has to be countered with like True Sense, Vigilance, and all those. But with the way Black Cat works, she can still end the heist just when the 45 seconds are up. So that allows her to, you know, not need the special 2 to either steal or place the card. She can just, you know, do the fight normally, and then, you know, gain the benefits of where the card is at when the heist triggers. If they have the card, then they get the Sabotage. If you have the card, then you get the vicious passive. But this fight here is the first time I have ever just skipped a fight in a video, and this was largely due to the AI. I was baiting a special, and baiting specials for significant portion of this fight, so I ended up just cutting out like half of this fight because I didn't want to bore you guys with how long this fight was taking. I wasn't parrying a lot because Angela gains armor buffs in her kit. Like there are some times where obviously I could have parried to get the fury buff, but like after her special attacks, she gets the armor up, so I can't parry there, but I could here. it is what it is. But right about here is where like she just would not play into us. So we're skipping it and we're going to the next fight. Black Cat worked there. She worked fine. You guys can see we didn't lose much more health. But yeah, it was just super slow. The AI was so slow that I just did not want to bore you guys with it. But you know, this fight went fine. You know, we parry to get the parry or the fury from parrying, from parry vulnerability. It's a lot of parrying. And then we just, you know, hammer this dude down with basic attacks and just deal some nasty damage. Like those are some pretty juicy basic attacks. And then we're going to use our striker here, and then heavy, and then cancel with our special 2. That way we gain the vicious passive, and that's going to allow us to just deal some really strong bleed damage to close this fight out. So pretty solid stuff there if you ask me, and we'll move on to the next lane that we're going to be covering. This one is a fun one, and I think it's a realistic showcase of how well she works here. This is Fighting Fit, Accident Prone, Martial Discipline, Ebb and Flow Heavy, and I think there's also Passive Heal Block. Yeah, and that's it. So essentially every like 5 seconds we are inflicted with a non-damaging debuff, and then every 5 critical hits we purify said debuff, and that will give us a Fury passive. Black Cat has a 7-hit combo with her 2-hit medium attacks, which means that you have more chances at critical hits, and that allows you to take advantage of the node a little bit better than most champions will. Right here we're trying to, you know, get Hulk into Gamma Rage, and he just wouldn't trigger it. So I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna drop the special 2 then, since he won't trigger it. So we drop the striker, and we drop the special 2, and then that triggers the Gamma Rage. So we get hit a little bit. It's not a big deal. I think we get hit a couple more times later in the fight. Again, not a huge deal. I wanted to get the heavy attack off before the special 2 to gain that, you know, really strong damage there from the whole special 2. But it's not a huge deal because we have a lot of Fury passives, and we're failing the physical vulnerabilities that he's trying to place on us when we strike him. So it's just an all-around good fight for Black Cat. If you can get up your defensive ability accuracy reduction fast enough, you can turn off his benefits from Gamma Rage, but we weren't able to do so, so we had to deal with the unstoppable. Right there, we get intercepted, trying to intercept. Absolutely love it. I don't know if I was too late on the intercept attempt. Sometimes I feel like if I'm too early, they will just clip me with a light attack. Sometimes if I'm too late, they'll just dash at me. So I don't know what the hell to do against the AI sometimes, but hey, it is what it is. This fight's going to go a lot better than the Hulk fight. We're going to take a couple minutes to bait, or a couple seconds to bait the special attack. Finally, she throws it after like 4 or 5 dashes. We go for the striker here. Heavy attack, then special 2. That gives us the vicious passive. There's nothing here that we really need the sabotage debuff for, and as you guys can see, those fury passives are juicing up that bleed damage so much that pairing it with the vicious passive, that's all we really needed. Next up we've got Hulk, and this is the second to last fight in this video. And she's really good for Hulk in general because a large portion of her damage, if not most of her damage, comes from bleed. I'd say it's pretty mixed between basics and bleed. In longer fights, the bleed really shines, but generally speaking, she's amazing for Hulk because bleed doesn't give Hulk gamma, if I am correct, which means that high bleed damage characters can kill Immortal Hulk without triggering his immortality. But the really cool thing is if you accidentally give him 15 gamma, so he has the chance to go immortal, she can fail it with her defensive ability accuracy reduction. So there we go, we have the vicious passive, and those bleeds are just dealing some nasty damage. We could have just let him bleed out, but we decided to mercy kill him with our medium attack. So pretty solid stuff there from Black Cat if you ask me. And we're gonna close out the fight, or the video, with a fight from Abyss, and this is Thing. She is one of the best Thing counters in my opinion, if not, I think she's probably the most practical Thing counter. She's very easy to use for Thing. You just want to make sure that you have the card on your side when you use your special 2. That will place the Sabotage debuff on Thing, and that allows you to deal some really nasty burst damage every time a rock stack fails, which is pretty frequently against Thing, because every time you try to strike him, he tries to gain a rock stack. Right there we screw up because I'm not that good at the game sometimes, but we just need to bait a heavy attack, punish it, and then we just drop the special 2 here, and that will place the Sabotage, and you guys are going to start seeing the damage is pretty solid. This is one of the faster Thing solos I've ever had. I believe it's like 3.5 minutes, which, you know, isn't that fast anymore in comparison to most champions, but seeing as that our basics are, you know, really strong in terms of critical damage, but we're also just dealing some really solid burst damage from failing, you know, the rock stacks. She's one of the best options for Thing, like I said, and you know, you can take Thing in Battlegrounds because of the way she works like this. In like 45 seconds, I think, is the fastest I've done it. And if you play well enough, and if you have her awakened, you can intercept pretty frequently and not have to worry about getting hit because she has that safety net built into her kit. So yeah, it's a really solid fight for her. Like I said earlier in the video, if there's anything that you can fail when striking the opponent, she's generally going to be a good option, unless they gain benefits from you bleeding them, like Atuma. Atuma, he reverses the ability accuracy reduction, so you're essentially giving him more ability accuracy, and then he also has increased thorns for you know, each bleed that you place on him or whatever. So she's not a good match there, but you know, that was just like a show, like an idea of where she's like not good. But yeah, she works for pretty much everything. If you you know, have the Black Widow relic, it gives her something to fail. That beeper debuff allows you to you know, make it beep. You'll see it on the right side. Sometimes the beep call out happens. But yeah, she's awesome. There's not much more I have to say about her, so we're gonna start wrapping up the video. If at any point you guys did enjoy the video, consider hitting the like button and subscribing if you already haven't. It helps me grow the channel, helps recommend the content to you in the future if you did enjoy it. And yeah, you know, I kind of like having, you know, people join my little community here, so I would appreciate if you you know, threw a subscription if you haven't already subscribed. And let me know your thoughts down below on the showcase. This one was kind of harder to do because she has the same issues as Falcon, but I think I found a bunch of areas to where she shines. I wish the Battlegrounds metas were a bit more friendly to her without like really juicing up her damage, because I don't want to have like a misleading showcase. But yeah, I can make some like Battleground specific showcases if you guys want in the future when a meta is more friendly to her. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. I read every comment. I might not like respond to them all or like them all or heart them all, but I do read every single one. I get the notifications on my phone. So I'll see you guys for the next video or stream. You know, peace out, guys.